Assalamualaikum and good morning to Dr. Wan Yusof and my fellow classmates. My name is Anin Sofia binti Abdullah and my metric number is L24A0708. Today, I would like to present my research proposal entitled The Role of Strategic Communication in Managing Public Confidence During the National Crisis in Malaysia, the mediating role of social media communication. This study focuses on how strategic communication influences public confidence during national crisis and how social media communication plays a mediating role in that relationship. National crises such as pandemic, natural disaster, economic instability, and national security threats require governments to communicate effectively with citizens. In recent years, communication has become increasingly important because people rely heavily on digital platforms to obtain information. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the Malaysian government used Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, television broadcast, and official website to disseminate information. However, despite these efforts, many Malaysians experience confusion due to inconsistent information, misinformation, and fake news circulating online. As a result, public confidence in government's crisis management was affected. Therefore, this study aims to investigate how strategic communication can help maintain public confidence during national crisis. Strategic communication refers to the planned and purposeful communication used by governments and organizations to achieve specific goals. During national crisis, strategic communication helps governments provide timely, accurate, and credible information to the public. Effective communication can reduce uncertainty, prevent panic, and encourage public cooperation. In Malaysia, social media has become one of the most important communication channels during emergencies because information can be distributed quickly and reach large audiences. However, social media also present challenges because misinformation can spread rapidly and affect public perception. Therefore, understanding the relationship between strategic communication, social media communication, and public confidence is important. Problem statement can be explained using the reality gap significant approach. Ideally, governments should communicate in a timely, transparent, accurate, and consistent manner during the national crisis. When communication is effective, people are more likely to trust government decisions and cooperate with crisis management efforts. However, the reality is that communication during crisis in Malaysia is not always consistent or effective. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, many citizens were exposed to conflicting information and fake news on social media. This caused confusion, uncertainty, and reduced confidence in government communications. Although previous studies have examined crisis communication, government trust, as well as social media communication, most studies investigate this topic separately. There is limited research examining strategic communications influences public confidence during national crisis in Malaysia while considering the mediating role of social media communication. This research aims to fill that gap. This study is significant for several reasons. First, it contributes to the academic literature by expanding knowledge on crisis communication and public confidence in Malaysia. Second, it helps government agencies to understand which communication strategies are most effective during crisis. Third, these findings may help policymakers design better communication plans that improve public trust and cooperation. Fourth, this study may assist in reducing misinformation by identifying the importance of credible and transparent communication. And finally, this research can provide practical recommendations for future crisis management strategies in Malaysia. Several previous studies support the importance of strategic communication. According to Kurniasari and colleagues, effective crisis communication helps governments manage public expectation and reduce misinformation during emergencies. Ambika Pati and colleagues found that timely and accurate communication was crucial during the Selangor flood crisis. Similarly, Nurazan and colleagues also discovered that accessibility, transparency, credibility, and consistency of information significantly influence public perceptions of government's performance. These findings suggest that strategic communication is an important factor in maintaining public confidence during national crisis. Public confidence refers to the level of trust that citizens have in government, institutions, and their ability to manage crises effectively. Previous studies found that when information is clear, accessible, and trustworthy, people are more likely to support government's actions. Research by Jaafar and colleagues showed that transparency and communication effectiveness significantly influence public confidence. Regarding social media communication, studies indicate that platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X have become important channels for crisis communication. Research by Jamal and colleagues found that social media characteristics such as accessibility, usefulness, and credibility influence public trust and perception. Therefore, social media communication play a significant role in strengthening the relationship between strategic communication and public perception. Although many studies have examined crisis communication, public trust, and social media communication, several gaps still remain. Most previous studies focused on specific crises such as COVID-19, floods, or political instability. Furthermore, many studies investigated communication trust and social media as separate variables. There is still limited research examining the combined relationships between strategic communication and social media communication, as well as public confidence during national crisis in Malaysia. More specifically, the mediating role of social media communication remain unexplored. This study addresses that research gap. This slide presents the conceptual framework of the study. The independent variable is strategic communication. Strategic communication consists of four dimensions: information accessibility, credibility, transparency, and consistency. The dependent variable of the study is public confidence. Between these two variables is social media communication, which acts as the mediating variable. The framework proposed that strategic communication influences public confidence directly and indirectly through social media communication. In other words, effective strategic communication delivered through social media platform is expected to increase public confidence during national crisis. This study is guided by three research questions. The first research question is, what strategic communication factors affect public confidence in Malaysia during national crisis? The second research question is, what is the relationship between strategic communication and public confidence during national crisis? The last research question is, does social media communication mediate the relationships between strategic communication and public confidence? In order to answer the three research questions, the study also have three objectives. First is to determine the strategic communication factors that affect public confidence. Second is to examine the relationships between strategic communications and public confidence. The last one is to investigate the mediating role of social media communication in these relationships. This study adopts a quantitative research approach. The quantitative method is chosen because it allows numerical data to be collected and statistically analyzed. The target population consists of Malaysian citizens, particularly youth who actively use social media. Youth are selected because they frequently consume crisis-related information through digital platforms. This study aims to collect responses from approximately 200 to 300 participants. Convex sampling will be used because participants can reach easily through online platforms. Data will be collected using online questionnaire developed through Google Forms. The questionnaire link will be distributed through Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram apps. The collected data will then be analyzed statistically to determine the relationships among the variables. The expected findings of this study are that strategic communication will positively influence public confidence during national crisis. In addition, social media communication is expected to strengthen this relationship by facilitating information, dissemination, and public engagement. The finding may help governments improve future crisis communication strategies, increase public cooperation, and reduce the impact of misinformation. In conclusion, effective strategic communication is essential for maintaining public confidence during national crisis. By understanding the role of social media communication, governments can develop more effective communication strategies to better manage future emergency. That's all from my presentation. Thank you for listening.